billion in capital spending and save African countries nearly $10 billion per year by 2040. Another sector is agribusiness and the opportunities to grow intra-regional trade by addressing issues such as production standards, value chains, infrastructure, and custom tariffs. We will also discuss the digital transformation and the need to groom African champions in the fields of outsourcing, e-health, e-education, artificial intelligence, e-commerce, and agri-tech. The financial sector is also on the agenda, including payment systems such as digital payments and their associated regulations across the region. We will also discuss the need for infrastructure and the opportunities in the area of logistics, including ports, dry ports, transport hubs, and public-private partnership in this sector. In the healthcare sector, we will discuss what technology can do and how the private sector can complement government efforts. We will focus on tourism as an area for growth. Globally, tourism accounts for about 20% of global employment. The equivalent figure in Africa is 7%, so obviously there is room to improve and to grow in the years to come. Cutting across all of these sectors is a critical role of women, from startups entrepreneurs to board members of large companies. We will also discuss the modernization of the governance of family businesses. Progress and reforms are needed in all these sectors, but in the end, countries will have to do the reforms. This is why the program also includes focused discussion on opportunities in specific countries and sub-region, for example, in Togo, Morocco, Mauritius, Rwanda, and East Africa, to discuss what reforms to implement to best benefit from the increased integration of the continent. All these exciting events are listed in this leaflet. In fact, it's many pages. And I really invite you to consult and shop around the many events that have been scheduled. Now, governments must now do what they can to create a better business environment for private investments. This means identifying the right reforms to unlock sectors, reduce red tape, as well as building infrastructure to improve connectivity. Several African countries have already done so, and our host, Rwanda, is one excellent example. President Kagame and his government have worked for years to open private sector opportunities. In 2006, the World Bank Group Doing Business report ranked Rwanda 139th globally in the ease of doing business. Then the country embarked on a series of reforms to improve governance across the board and to open up sectors. For example, Rwanda privatized key sectors such as tea, coffee, and ICT, including the Post Telecom and Telecommunication Company. Another example is the country formed the Rwanda Development Board by merging 8 different agencies and cutting the bureaucracy. And for investors, this is truly a one-stop shop, as opposed to one more stop shop that we see in too many countries. So here's the secret is don't stop reforming. We're talking with the Minister of Commerce. It's like a bicycle. When you start, you cannot stop pedaling. And this is the secret. Reform, reform, reform. It has to be tailored to the condition of the country, and then it pays out. So this year, fast forward, a lot of work, Rwanda ranked 29th in the Doing Business World Ranking. The country has jumped 110 places in just a short 13 years. Nothing short but amazing, and I'm not sure there are any equivalent. Now, I'd like to do a little anecdote from an investor, a new investor in Rwanda that we had dinner with 2 days ago here in Kigali. He told me he chose to come to Rwanda because he looked at the doing business and he decided to come here for that. So these efforts have real impact. My third point is, what is IFC in all this? So we have a new strategy in IFC that we launched 2 years ago. We made very clear to our board that Africa is our #1 priority. The question is what to do, how to do it. So I looked at the history of IFC in the continent, and in fact, IFC investments in sub-Saharan Africa were 160 million in 2003. Very, very little. But we ramped up and reached 3 billion for the last decade. However, these 3 billion every year, we have been stagnating at this level. Why? Because of a lack of bankable projects. And we are hard-nosed investors, so we want really good projects. So the question was, okay, if Africa is the priority, how do you break this ceiling of 3 billion a year? And we put first a target, I do believe in targets, that we need to triple. And we do the whole capital increase, that was a success, to be able to triple our investments from 3 billion to about 10 billion in 2030. But how do you do it? Same cause, same consequences. So we decided to change the way we work. And to change the way we work is, instead of waiting for investors to come and ask us to structure their finance, we're going to turn the table and create our own opportunities for financing, create what we call creating markets and creating new opportunities. And to do so, we will need to work much more proactively upstream with governments, with our colleagues across the street from the World Bank, other partners, including MIGA as part of the World Bank Group, but others, and obviously private sector clients. We need to create market and we need to invent new projects. Now, is that realistic? And to illustrate, I would like to give you an example of scaling solar. This is a program that we launched in Africa, we invented in Africa. And the first one was in Zambia. So what is it about? We worked with the government in Zambia to find, we wanted solar power, but there were no investment coming. And the cost of electricity in the country, in Zambia, is very expensive. So and nobody was coming for IPP. So what we did is proactively worked with the government of Zambia upstream, find a plot of land, so secure the land. Then we worked with our colleagues in the World Bank to secure the power purchasing agreement, so we de-risked the project. Then we, in IFC, organized an auction, international auction, to attract investors on a competitive, transparent, and competitive basis. It's more complicated than what I say, but that's basically it. Then, thanks to the competition and the de-risking, the price of the winner of the bids, and they were top companies, very serious, came out with 4 cents US cents a kilowatt hour in a country where I think the average of the cost of electricity is about 20 cents. Solar. Now, this program, we have had a very important success in Senegal. We have some good news from Ethiopia. We're already working in Madagascar. We want to spread this way of doing business. Now, that's the strategy. That's an illustration of the strategy. Being proactive. This company that came and bid will never have considered going to Zambia if we had not created the project, auctioned it, and de-risked it. with the help from the government and our colleagues from the World Bank to guarantee payment. What we need now to do, and that's the whole point of the strategy, is descaling solar. I can multiply examples, but we don't have enough time. The point is, how do we make the same approach in all the sectors, in all the countries? That's the challenge. Now, I would like to finish with a number. Africa needs 1.7 million new jobs every month. 1.7 million every month. How do you create that? Is it possible good jobs in the formal sector? We can create 1.7 million new civil servants every month? Not in the cards. The only way to do it is really to develop a thriving and competitive private sector enabled by free trade opportunities across the continent. To do that, we need both visionaries who can imagine new markets that will be profitable, and at the same time pragmatists who knows how to make these markets a reality. So, to paraphrase Ronald Reagan, if not the CEO Forum, who, and if not now, when? Thank you very much.
Mr. Lowehu, thank you very much. Our next speaker requires no introduction. Over the next 2 days, we shall be looking at the vital question of shaping the continent's integration agenda. Now, the East African community, the East African region, is seen as a model of success when it comes to regional integration. Last year, integration took an even larger sphere on the continent with the signing of the Continental Free Trade Area, and that was under the chairmanship of President Paul Kagame at the helm of the African Union. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our host today, President Paul Kagame, President of the Republic of Rwanda.
Excellency, for Nyasimbe, President of the Republic of Togo, Excellency Sahle-Work Zewed, President of the Federal Republic, Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, Excellency Felix Tshisekedi Tshilombo, President of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Excellency Amadou Gon Coulibaly, Prime Minister of the Republic of Cote d'Ivoire, Ami Ben Yamed, President of the Africa CEO Forum, Honorable Ministers, Senior Officials, Philippe Leroux, CEO of International Finance Corporation, Africa's CEOs and business executives, representatives, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is a great pleasure for me and for all Rwandans to welcome you all to Kigali for this year's edition of the Africa CEO Forum. We are honored by the presence of many national leaders, business leaders, and delegations from every corner of our continent and beyond. Allow me to extend a very special welcome to the heads of state and government who have joined us. Excellencies, you're most welcome. I wish to thank our partners, the Jeune Afrique Group, for selecting Rwanda and allowing us to host this forum, and for the hard work that has gone into organizing the event. 1 year ago, in this very room, 44 countries signed on to the African Continental Free Trade Area. And more have done so since, just as importantly, the protocol on the free movement of persons was also adopted. The Continental Free Trade Area is on the cusp of coming into force. I understand that only one more ratification is needed. However, as we all know, this is where the hard work begins. It is very timely for us to gather here today to discuss how to make the most out of this historic agreement, among other important issues. We only reached this point because Africa came together with a strong unity of purpose that is rooted in the rising aspirations of our young people for a better future. That same spirit should drive us forward to success. Whatever we try to do, even in terms of economic development, the result comes back to the politics surrounding it. If it's bad, everything else is bad, meaning politics. That is why open, responsive, and accountable governance is so critical. We therefore need the urgency and focus that only the private sector can provide, with its unique ability to envision new opportunities on the horizon and seize them. However, no one should be satisfied with business as usual. This is the right time for private sector leaders to reflect on what needs to be changed and improved on their end as well, so that we have a situation where, be it the private sector or public sector, we challenge one another, we push one another to make more progress. The implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area, especially at a national level, will require constant dialogue and flexibility. The full involvement of the African business community is critical to keep us on track. In less than a generation, it have awareness. I've had this many times. That means 1.1 billion working-age Africans, which is more than China or India. We don't have any time to waste to do what is necessary. so that this statistic becomes Africa's greatest asset rather than a burden for our continent and the world. It is our